up? What up? What up? We got a special treat. We got Coach LB from Drake University in the house, 6-0 record. I'll let him introduce himself a little bit, and then we'll go straight to the questions. Talk about this hot start. So, Coach, welcome.
Brian, appreciate you having me, Coach. I mean, you're once a coach, always a coach. So I appreciate you having me tonight, and looking forward to having a great time. And as you mentioned, I appreciate the mention of our 6-0 start. So we're trying to find a way to keep it going. So maybe they'll let us stay around here a little bit longer.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think they're going anywhere with you guys anytime soon. So I got my Mamba mentality shirt on. Shout out to Kobe, real quick. And you guys are definitely playing with that mentality. So I had to represent for you. So let's talk about the schedule. So Kansas State, Big 12 team, have beaten them 80-70, first game of the year for you guys. South Dakota, you beat 69-53. Omaha, you beat 87-66. Played a couple non-division ones. You scored in the 90s, did what you're supposed to do there, and then you played Air Force and beat them 81-53. So, not only just playing and winning, playing games, which is hard to do right now, getting 6 in, which is a blessing, but also just playing at a dominant level. Haven't played a close game yet. Some of the statistics that I wanted to talk about first, we'll talk about the offensive side of the ball and then also the defensive side. But from a player standpoint, you have 4 guys in double figures, 1 averaging almost double figures, and a couple others that are right at over 6. So really almost 7 guys that are close to double figures and can score double figures on any given night. I think there's 9 guys in your rotation who are playing 13 minutes or more, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So definitely playing a lot of guys, playing depth. I love that part. So let's just talk about the offense. 84 points a game on 53% field goals, 41% from 3, which is doesn't matter who you're playing. If you're scoring 1 out of 2 and shooting over 41% from 3, like that's real work. That's real skill. So I talk about it all the time. It's hard just to win one Division I game. People don't know how much goes into that. And it's so hard to – sometimes we almost don't want to give credit to the great wins because, oh, well, you're supposed to win that game. Oh, that person's not supposed to be this good. But anytime you put the ball up, you can lose, right? So anytime. It doesn't matter if it's a non-Division I. Doesn't matter if this school is supposed to be their RPI or their net rate. That doesn't matter. We all know anytime you throw the ball up, you can lose. So credit to the 6-0. A couple of the more offensive stats, 72% from the line. So you guys obviously can shoot the basketball, period. 2 of my favorite as a former point guard, not as good as your point guard, as a former pass first point guard who won a championship himself back in the day. The fact that you guys 12 turnovers per game. I think most people on their board, dry erase board before the game, they have it circled 12 turnovers or less. So you guys are doing that at a high level. And then 18 assists a game. It is really remarkable to think about. Obviously, you're scoring at a high level. But again, the way that your team has an energy that they want to share the ball because you're averaging 18, which means you've had more than 18 on numerous occasions. So just wanted to give some specific shout outs to those offensive statistics. I talked probably way too long, but I wanted people to understand what you guys are doing and accomplishing. And now you can kind of break down just the offensive side of the ball. We'll talk defense as well. We'll talk players as well. But just specifically the offense, talk a little bit about that in the 6-0 hot start.
Well, first of all, I'm going to bring my cowboy back out because I can tell that you've been in front of a team before articulating those thoughts and helping to prepare them. Because that's very, very well done. Our guys, I think that's one of kind of the foundations of our team and our program. Coach kind of has 3 pillars that he always uses when he talks about, how we want to be identified. He always talks about being the toughest team, the most disciplined team, and then the most unselfish. And I think that speaks to the assists. I mean, I think the better shots you take, the better the chances of it going in. And I think if you can take shots that you can have really good assist numbers when you put yourself in a position where, you can trust that if you give it up, it'll come back. And I think our guys, because of the relationships that they have, not only on the court, but also off the court, they trust each other, and they trust that if, I pass it and I corner cut, or I pass it and I come off a particular screen and I'm cutting through, I'm confident in cutting through because it has a chance of coming back to me. So, I think that's where a lot of it, the success with the numbers, originates. We don't have guys that are kind of quote unquote black holes. I think we have 5 guys, if I'm not mistaken, that are shooting over 40%. So, it makes it a lot of fun when we can get them up. Coach gives the guys ultimate confidence. And he always likes to say that, if you really put the work in, it often will show up on game day. And they really put a ton of time in behind the scenes that people don't often get a chance to see.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to pull this up real quick, Coach. You do have several guys shooting over 40. You have Hemp Hill, if I believe is how you said, is shooting 50, 1 out of 2. You got DJ Wilkins shooting 46, 7, 14 of 30 from 3. Roman Penn, who I believe is the point guard transfer from Siena, shooting 42% from 3. Youssef, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Joe Yesufu.
Yesufu. I wasn't even close. That's okay. Sorry, Joe. Please forgive me. But you're still shooting it at a high clip, 40%. And then you have Jonah Jackson is shooting 48% from 3. So, yeah, I used the cheat sheet on that one. But, yeah, you definitely had some guys shooting the ball at a high level. And it makes it hard to guard. I mean, I'll never forget this. One of my close basketball friends, he said that shot making is the great equalizer in basketball.
Sorry.
So if you can make shots, it doesn't always matter if you can break a guy down or if this guy's a 5-star or 4-star. If you can put the ball in the hole and you have multiple guys that can do it, then you have a chance to really make it hard on your opponent. Because we all know at scout reports, when you're talking about if a guy's a Curry closeout or a Thompson closeout versus a Rondo or a Wade or whoever, however you guys or different people break it down. But it makes it hard when you have multiple guys that are shooting over 40 to close out, because now you're trying to run them off the line. If any of them can make a play off the bounce, either at the rim for themselves or for a teammate, puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So I love the fact you guys are sharing the ball the way you are and shooting such efficient numbers, because I think those translate no matter who you're playing against. They may not be as efficient, but it just shows an ability to do it. So I love that part. Defensively, some great statistics. Another one of those, dry erase board pregame circles is 40% or less defense. I think most successful teams I've been a part of have had that number as a tag number. You guys are holding people way under 40 at 36. Only 60 points a game. You're giving up 32 from 3, plus 8 on the glass, 3.7 blocks a game, which I was actually surprised at that.
Sure.
Get some rim protection, which is, again, that's a high. That's not even tracking the number that you're changing. That's just the actual blocks. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 8.5 steals. Does that seem right? That's a lot of steals. So there's a lot of productivity, not only just keeping people at a low percentage, out rebounding and limiting them to one shot with plus 8, but the steals and the blocks are actually, turnovers for points, I'm assuming. So talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball, because normally, again, the efficiency is usually on one side of the ball or the other, but to have that drastic of stats on both sides just shows how dominant you guys are playing to this point in the season.
Certainly. Well, we've been really fortunate, in Coach's mantra, being the toughest team. I think that speaks to that. We have a really good mix of guys. I think sometimes the common misconception is that if you shoot it at that clip, then you may not go to the other end and compete as hard as you may on the opposite end. That old adage of kind of saving your legs to make shots. But with our team, I think we're multiple, and we've done a lot of different things defensively to try to keep people off balance. We've done some things, we've played some matchup zone in some games when it really benefited us. We switched some things both on and off the ball. We've got out and we've pressed. We've had multiple ball screen coverages where we're jumping out and hard hedging and showing. And we switched 5 ways. I mean, I think that we have a very experienced team, and what comes with that is you have guys that have played different ways. They've played for really good coaches along the way, and I think for us, it's we played a game, and our game plan starting that game was to come out and we were going to try to switch some of their 5-out motion. That was our game plan. We came in and that was what we were going to do. And we got into the second media timeout, and we're sitting there, and some of our players, they're kind of looking around and they're saying, Coach, man, I think we should fight through some of these screens. And to Coach's credit, he said, okay, let's roll with it. And, the guys, they really did a good job of talking through it and navigating it. And I think from the first half to the second half, we looked like a completely different team. So, a lot of that goes to Coach's flexibility with the guys defensively, giving them the freedom to use their strengths. We have guys that really have taken a lot of pride in who can get the best chase down block. We have guys that have taken a lot of pride and who can step in and take the most charges, and we've had guys that that fight for the right to guard the other team's best player. So it makes it a lot of fun when you have a group that not only takes pride in the offensive end but also gets excited about the challenge of playing defense.
Absolutely, that's a championship formula, and I love that you kind of broke that down for us. Talk about your roster, Coach. I'm gonna kind of ask this in a specific way,
Sure.
so bear with me. But talk about seniors first, because seniors are so important for leading your group, whatever level we're at, and having experience, having returners. So talk about your seniors, then just kind of go by class, then juniors, then freshmen, then sophomores, then freshmen. Just kind of go through, and we don't have to talk about every single player, but obviously you have at least 10 guys that are in this rotation. There may be other guys that aren't always in the rotation, but just kind of talk about the roster a little bit, if you don't mind, and touch on some of the guys that make this team what it is.
Well, first of all, again, with regard to that, the NCAA is giving us an opportunity to bring everyone back for another year following this season with whatever, and hopefully we can have a chance to finish this season out. But our team, our seniors, we're a very experienced team. Some of the guys from that senior class include Tremel Murphy, who was battling an injury last year. He was a junior college All-American, and Tremel's come out. He's really shot the ball well early, and he's still trying to get his game timing back, which is, we're all excited and here to kind of see where he's going to evolve when he gets back into game shape. Jonah Jackson is a transfer that, came in last year. He shot an incredible percentage from 3. He's the type of player that can come in and he can hit 6 threes and a half. He is an elite shooter. One of his, I think, unique traits or unique things or claim to fame, if you will, with him is that he has not attempted a 2-point field goal in a year and a half of college basketball. Shanquan Hemphill, we call him Tank. He is a dynamic, explosive athlete. You talk about someone that makes really, really loud plays that can guard the other team's best player. He's a dynamic, driver. He can shoot the 17-footer. As you mentioned, he's shooting 50% from 3. I can't say enough great things about him, and he's leading us in scoring, and you will have no idea. You grab a stat sheet and you say, whoa, how did he get that? Offensive rebounds. That's our senior class. Our junior class, Darnell Brody is a transfer from Seton Hall. Brody is 6'9". He's much more athletic than you think. And his touch around the rim is just greatly improving. Brody likes to screen. He loves in the Kansas State game. He was awesome for us just with the physical presence. His experience at Seton Hall, that wasn't a game for him that, he was overwhelmed. We were able to have some protection at the rim and some physicality at the rim. Garrett Sturtz, he's from Newton, Iowa. He's kind of the heart and soul of our team. Garrett came in as a walk-on, and he's played everywhere. He's been the 1 through the 5. He knows every play. I always laugh and joke. He often knows the scouts better than the coaches oftentimes. Great young man. He's done a great job. DJ Wilkins is another junior. He came in and he was down at Florida Southwestern. He was on the all-rookie team, and this being his junior year, he didn't have a great sophomore year by his standards. He was still on a team that had a lot of success, and he played a lot of minutes and really contributed to a 20-win season. But DJ's been on fire of late. I mean, he had an incredible offseason, and it's really starting to pay off for him. So that's been awesome just from his development standpoint to see his hard work pay off, and we're hoping that he can continue to shoot it at the clip that he's shooting it. Moving on, Joe Yesufu is a sophomore. He is a dynamic guard, downhill driver. Every day he comes into the gym, we have an Adidas sponsorship, and he always is wearing Derrick Rose's. So, I always ask him, is that his favorite player? And you can tell that he resembles his game after him. He's a downhill driver. He can get wherever he wants to get, whenever he wants to get there. And he's also shooting a three-point ball at a really high clip, and he's a really exciting youngster that we're excited about. The freshman class, Jordan Kowinski, he's from Illinois. He's 6'9". He's built like a basketball. When God said, this is what we want a basketball player, that's him, all arms and all legs, skilled, can shoot the three, and he's working on just his lateral mobility. And this year has been awesome for him playing against all of these older guys. Bryson Burns, very similar. He's from Texas. He's a 6'5" wing combo guard, gets where he wants. He'll take off and dunk on you. He can shoot the three. He can play in pick and roll. He could be a game-changing, dominant defender. Nate Ferguson is another freshman for us. He redshirted last year. He's been playing in the 5 position, really dynamic athlete as well, kind of a lob flip-up guy. And it's been great for his development to have a chance to play alongside Brody. Both he and Issa Samake, who's another redshirt freshman, it gives him an opportunity to be able to come in and really learn and not have to log in that huge inventory of minutes. The last redshirt freshman, that I mentioned is Okai Jamgoose. He's from Toronto, Ontario. He's a 6'4" guard that really can shoot it off the bounce. I think he came in heralded as the best shooter in North America. We're trying to really get him going, and he came in as a 17-year-old and played a whole year as a 17-year-old. So his body's developed. He's gained about 25 pounds since he's gotten here. So that rounds it out. And one last player, I apologize that I neglected to admit. He's our leader. He's our point guard, Roman Penn. He's done a great job for us here at Drake. So that's our team. That's the long version. But I certainly enjoy this group, and they're young men that really have a bright future, not only just in basketball, but also off the court as well.
Sorry about that. You can just tell with this team. I was saying that you have some winners in that locker room to play as dominant as you have out of the gate, and not even have very close contests to this point. And again, I go back to the 18 assists, and to have the offensive numbers that you have as a team, but also to have the defensive numbers you have as a team. There's something about this group that is different than most offensive-minded teams, and even different than most defensive-minded teams, because you have such a acceleration of success on both sides of the ball. And you touched on the guys being great to be able to work with and great to be around, and a fun group to coach. We all love to coach those guys in those special years. So talk about your head coach, who's the leader of this culture. I know he's had some success. I believe 44 wins maybe in his first 2 years there. I believe you guys are in year 3 now. So on your way to another 20-plus win season, another season where you're competing for a championship and competing to go to the NCAAs. So talk a little bit about your head coach and your staff, and then we'll go to you and talk about kind of looking forward.
Certainly. Well, I think, all teams take on the identity of the leader and our head coach. And, I'll start by saying with Coach DeVries, we've had a couple of tornadoes, and we had, a couple natural disasters. And that was one of the things that stood out to me when I first got here. There was a scenario where there was a tornado, a local town was, devastated. It was leveled. And, coaches inherited a new program We had 3 returning players at that point. So, we don't know anyone. There was 3 guys, and, we brought in a bunch of guys from various places. And coach just said, you know what, Dylan, helping people in a space where they need our assistance is way more important than us trying to, figure out how we're going to win a basketball game. And when we got there, I'll never forget, and this was when, I was excited about the culture that was being built. We were getting ready to leave as a staff, and obviously I'm the non-Iowan. At that point, we have our entire staff is from Iowa, and I'm the only East Coast Virginia guy. And, we're trying to rally everyone. We're going to carpool, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get there. I go in the locker room, and, our staff, we walk in and try to find everyone, and they're already gone. So we're like, whoa, what's going on? I mean, we got a brand new team with people that don't know each other. And they had already taken off to go, to help and aid in the efforts of cleaning up. They arranged it. They figured it out. They figured out all the car scenario, and they were there by the time we got there, and they were already working. And I think those things are things that, coach, he led the charge by telling and saying that, you know what, we're gonna make the main thing, and that's doing right by people and really giving back to our community. We have a team mantra and an athletic department mantra that we're Des Moines' hometown team, and I think that stood out. Those guys got a chance to put a smile on people's faces that lost everything, all their memories. They lost all of the things that meant a lot to them, and that was a unique space. And then we had another derecho, and I never had heard of that term, and that's something being here that was unique. Essentially, it's like a hurricane in the Midwest. And, coach did the same thing. It's the summer. We're in the midst of the pandemic, and we're still working through that. And our guys can get in the gym, but we're still trying to figure out this piece. And coach put a tweet out, and his tweet said that if anyone wants to have help, send him a direct message or shoot him a tweet, and he'll respond. And for 2 weeks, I mean, every day we were raking leaves. We were, helping people pick up sticks. We were, helping people fix their roof. You name it. And that was great because our team got a chance, especially some of the new guys this year, they got a chance to experience it. But the thing that stood out to me, and you talk about our leadership and coach as a leader, there was times that we would get there, and I can remember, he would say we're going to meet at 8, and at 7:30, 7:45, we show up. Coach is in a full sweat. I mean, it's 7:30, and he's already led the charge, and he's gotten it, the work done, and we're having fun. And I think that's where our team, the heart and soul, the backbone of our team kind of originates. And I think that's a tribute to coach. I mean, he was at Creighton for 20 years, which is really unheard of in this profession. Most people bounce around and, they're trying to find the next best thing. And coach took a team that was in the Missouri Valley at Creighton, and he was one of the constants, and they built that program into a powerhouse. They were ranked in the top 10 going into this season in the Big East, obviously, but that's coach, to his core. He's a person that, as good as he's been, his success speaks for itself. He's won 50. He reached the 50-win milestone last Sunday when we played Air Force. And this being, 2 years, and we're kind of a quarter of the way through this third year, but he reached that milestone. He's the fastest person in the Missouri Valley to reach that. So his success on the court speaks for itself. He was the coach of the year in his first inaugural campaign. We won the conference. He's had a lot of success. I think he's the second time in school history where there's been back-to-back 20-win seasons. And he's the catalyst of it, and I think as much success as he's had on the court, what stands out to me even more than that is just the kind of person he is. I mean, it's common practice if you come to our gym to see his wife, his young daughter, his son, it's common practice that they're there. And I think for our guys, that's really unique because, they get a firsthand example of what it's like to be a father and a family man. And I think that's really stood out to me.
Yeah, awesomely put, Coach. Really awesome. Let's talk last 2 questions. First, tell the people a little bit about your story, how you ended up at Drake. You can give the short version or the long version, but I know you have a great story to tell. And then just talk about your team after you finish kind of talking about you. What is the ultimate goal? I mean, I think most people would expect it to be championship. You talked about winning championships, would expect it to be NCAA tournament. But in that ultimate goal, whatever it is, how do you go about the day-to-day with your guys? How do you get those guys to, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of being 6-0 and having the success, how do you keep them focused and grounded? And it sounds like they're a pretty self-motivated group, but what's the approach as a coaching staff? So those kind of are two back-to-back questions to kind of close us out.
Well, my story is unique. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Virginia, Cortland, Virginia, to be specific. And I played football there, and I went to Elizabeth City State University for my first 2 years. At the conclusion of my freshman year, I grew 4 inches. I went from a 5'11" quarterback to a 6'4" quarterback. And along the way, my plan was to go to law school. I was going to study political science. And, you know, along the way, my mom, who was a principal, I had 2 choices. Am I going to substitute teach, or am I going to go work on the farm? And I guess whether it's I was being lazy or what have you, I substitute taught. And in that process, I fell in love with just, you know, what our game can do. And there was a young man that wasn't a great student. He was the young man that was written off. And, you know, I'll never forget, at that point, I'm 6'4" and I look like an athlete. And, you know, I'll never forget trying to teach him how to do a math problem that he couldn't do. And in that instance, the light bulb went off, and he, you know, turned his life around. He had a lot of success as a human, you know, and obviously now, you know, you fast forward 15 years from that, he's had a really successful, you know, career. He went to college, you know, he's gotten married, you know, like it's a really, really unique story. So that's where my passion for it started. You know, and along the way, I've gotten a chance to coach at various levels: Division I, Division II, Division III. I've been a professional head coach. You know, I've worked with the Canadian national team. You know, I've gotten a chance to really work in a lot of different places, and frankly, various countries. But for me, it's been, you know, just being able to help young people. I mean, it's been, you know, the guys that are starting to get married. I guess that means I'm getting old. You know, it's been the opportunities to see people, you know, make decisions, and it's, you know, the long lunches, and when you're having conversations about trying to teach young people how to manage their money, trying to help people understand, you know, how the decisions that they make now can impact their lives moving forward. And for me, I really fell in love with that, you know, what this game can do. When you look at some of the people that we had at Orangeville, we had 30 guys to go on and get a free education using this game. We've had guys to play in the NBA, and just that experience in itself, I think, is, you know, it's life-changing. It's generationally life-changing. And there's not many spaces in this world, and there's not many places where people can use a game or something that we really love to be able to have that kind of impact. So, you know, that's my story. I've been everywhere, and you know, if I didn't make $1 to do this, you know, I would do it just because of, you know, what it can do for people and how it can change lives.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, Coach. Yeah, let's end with that last question about the team. What do you think is it's kind of the biggest focus as you guys continue to stay hot, as you continue to keep your team focused, as you continue to push them to the place that you guys want to be? I'm assuming ultimately, again, that's championship and NCAA tournament, but I'll let you kind of talk about what kind of the goal is and the approach to get to the goal.
The first priority is to maintain, you know, our safety, and to try to find a way to continue to navigate this pandemic, you know, to ensure that we all can stay safe, and also keep our families safe. And from a basketball standpoint, you know, I think we haven't really gotten to a level where we have really, you know, played as well as we can play. You know, I think in a lot of the film study, I know as coaches, we're never satisfied, but, you know, I think that's our goal, is to reach the ceiling of this team, is to figure out, you know, how much more efficient we can be, you know, to figure out how we can, you know, minimize our breakdowns, to figure out how we can be even more unselfish, and to figure out, you know, how we can help these individuals become even better basketball players, because ultimately the better they become and the more well-versed they become at their craft, the more collective success we can have. So that's our goal, is every day to come in and just, continue to work and to continue to grow. And, record aside, is just to continue, being the best version of the Drake Bulldogs that we can be.
Yeah, and I'll end you with this one. I got a bonus one for you. What's one thing about Drake as a school or as a program that, again, I've been blessed to coach at the mid-major level, and I think is a super underappreciated level. And I think a lot of places just don't have the same stage opportunity sometimes, or just mainstream media sometimes. So people don't get to know the inside. So you talked about offense, defense, your head coach, your story. You've shared about your victories and how you guys have kind of built it. But what's something about the Drake program in Bulldog Country or Bulldog Nation, however you guys refer to it, that you would want people to know, just in general, who may run across this?
I think the people set this place apart. I think I can pull from my experience being a high school coach. We had a lot of guys that were recruited at all the levels, and I think the thing that stands out is that people recruit you, and those guys and their families, they sign up or commit to go to a place, and it's pretty common practice, or it was common practice, for those people to call back and say, you know what, man, the person that sat in my living room isn't the same person that he is when I got to where he was going. The things that they promised, the individual development, my well-being and those things. I mean, a lot of those people, a lot of our players, when I was at Orangeville coaching there, they would call and they would just say that, it wasn't what it was. They presented this picture, and that picture wasn't the case once I got there. I mean, I think that's what stands out about this place. I mean, our staff, Coach Marty Richter, he's been a head coach. He's coached at Indiana. I mean, he's had a lot of success. He started a program, and he's a family man, and his kids are around. Our players go out and spend time with his family at his house. Matt Gatens, he played at Iowa. He played professionally overseas. He's been at Auburn. He's had an opportunity to have multiple stops. He had a great career at Iowa, where he was an all-conference player in the Big Ten, and he can really play, and he brings a wealth of knowledge and resources. And then, Coach, I think that's the neat thing about it. Like, you talk about family, everyone preaches that, says that, but we have two former players, one in the director of basketball operations, and then a second one. So Brady is our director of basketball operations. We have a graduate assistant, Anthony Murphy. I mean, we've been here for 3 years, and we already have two former players that are already on staff. And I always laugh and joke, Gatens used to be the best player in the pickup game, but I think Brady and Tone might have surpassed him for that distinction. But I think that's what it is. I mean, you look at our equipment managers, you look at LT. I mean, it's just so many smiling faces and genuine people that really are concerned about your well-being. And I think it's contagious. I think when people know that you care more about them as the person. And yes, we're going to push you. We're all competitors. We all want to compete and we want to win. But I think when people know how much you genuinely care about them, I think it's contagious. I think they tell the young guys when they come in, look, man, those guys are going to really, when they ask you how you're doing, they're really genuinely concerned. I think that's what separates us. And, I think the winning takes care of itself if you do those things. And I think that's what's made our program fun. And I think it's made guys unselfish. And, I'm just hopeful that we can continue moving forward and strengthening and growing our culture.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure. I'm excited to watch from afar and kind of root through the television and the ESPN Plus and whatever else, ESPN3 and whatever else, Fox Sports, whatever else you may be playing on. I'm excited to be able to support from afar and definitely respect what you guys are doing because, again, I don't know if Drake is talked about even in the mid-major realm as much as it has deserved based on just what you've shared on this interview today. I mean, to be able to win a championship, I don't know that people know that Drake won a championship in the league out that way in the Missouri Valley. I don't know that people really understand the level of efficiency that you guys have even started the season with, giving all the challenges that are faced with every team right now. So much credit. No win is ever, in my book anyway. You get a win, celebrate that. You get a win, that means something. I don't care who you playing. I don't care because any given night you can be upset. That's somebody else's Super Bowl. So, and it's just hard to get your guys locked in. People don't understand how much goes in to prep and all the things behind the scenes to be able to make one win happen. So to go on a winning streak in 6-0 and do it in such a dominant fashion, just so much credit to you guys as the staff, and looking forward to seeing what you guys continue to do. So I'll let you have some closing words, and then we'll shut it down, Coach, and you guys keep rolling.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and you giving us the platform to to highlight some of the success, and and based on the way you spit those stats out, we may need to have you host some of our recruits. I'm still I got pens and pencils out. I'm taking note, trying to figure it out. But no, I appreciate in all sincerity. I sincerely appreciate you taking some time to to visit with us and to talk a little Drake basketball. And I'm excited about your platform. I'll be following. I'm a fan. I'll be locked in. So really, really appreciate the space that you're giving people, especially at the mid-major level. I think if you look at the NBA now, you look at the Steph Currys, you look at the guys, the Dame Lillards. I think a lot of those guys, and the list goes Kawhi Leonard. I mean, you can go all the way through the list.
Right.
And I think it's no coincidence that those guys really had an opportunity to develop at this level. I think oftentimes people are so enamored by going to what they perceive as the bright lights. I mean, I'm grateful for a platform like this because I think people, there's some really good mid-major basketball. There's some really, really good coaches, and there's some programs that do it the right way that have some of the same resources as the high majors.
Right.
From the standpoint of being able to charter the games, from the standpoint of being able to have practice facilities that have 24-hour key access. Nutritional standpoints, full-time strength coaches, and I think it's not highlighted as much, and I really, that being said, I really appreciate you taking some time to highlight, a level of basketball that I've become quite fond of.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach, and I'm glad you took the time to do it. Credit to you because you got a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, I just hope that people get a chance also to see and learn more about you and your story, because I think assistant coaches can get lost in this thing too, and head coaches deserve all the credit that they get, but as we all know, you're only as good as the staff that you have, and you talked about the staff and how good of a staff you guys have, but I think anybody that's listened to this, tuned into this, can also see why you were so successful as a coach at Orangeville Prep and had some of the high-level players you had, and continue to have success with your humility and your work ethic and just your acumen for the game. I can say that, and your ability to communicate. So such a treat to have you on, man. We'll have you back at some point because you guys will keep winning. I already know. So look forward to that, and just keep up the great work and stay safe.
We sincerely appreciate it. I hope that you and your family have a blessed holiday and stay safe and stay well. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll find my voice before we get back to it again. So
hey, if you don't find your voice, and if you not having your voice lead you to 6 more wins, I think you'll take it every time, Coach.
Well, if we lose our voice, being that you're so well versed in our stats, we may just have you get in front of the team and present.
Hey, I wouldn't be mad at that at all, man. I would be an honorary Bulldog for a day.
Well, we appreciate it. We'll get you some gear, and again, your experience, it resonates, and that we may take you up on it because all the cough drops are gone, but we're gonna keep doing our best to keep pushing.
I appreciate that, Coach. Stay safe, man. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much. Much respect. Be well.
Thank you.
Peace.